Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Caskey back for another read aloud of what's becoming my favorite book, Story Thieves. We're on chapter 6, and I just want to remind you, in chapter 5, Owen convinces Bethany to take him into the Kyle Nomanfoot, The Last of Everything book. And she does it very, very reluctantly, like she doesn't really want to do it. She doesn't know if she can trust Owen. But she decides to do it. And at the end of the chapter, Owen is feeling a little bit guilty because he's lied to her. He plans to go into the story and change it. And he's telling Bethany, take me into the story and we'll find a magic spell that can find your father. So he's got some inner conflict going on right now. So let's start chapter 6 and see what happens. By the way, I am outside, obviously, because it's gorgeous outside right now. The wind picks up every once in a while. Our neighbor's dog barks every once in a while. And the birds are singing like crazy. So hopefully you can hear me okay without any interruptions. Just ignore all that background noise. Okay, chapter 6. Owen's bedroom was where books went to die, Bethany realized. Every shelf in the room overflowed with books, without covers or with splitting spines, and even every so often, just collections of pages held together with rubber bands. She gestured toward the books, raising an eyebrow, and Owen turned red. My mom brings them home, he said, sitting down on the floor with the Kyle Nomanfoot and the end of everything in front of him. Whenever a library book gets too beat up to lend out anymore, she gives it to me. He kind of says this like he's embarrassed about it, but that'd be kind of cool. So you live in a book graveyard? Bethany said, sitting down across from him. Owen's eyes widened. Ooh, that'd make a fun story. Have you ever been to a graveyard in a book, like Pet Cemetery or something? No horror books, Bethany said quickly. That's rule number 1. Horror is a good way to get yourself killed. And speaking of rules, let's go over them while we can still back out of this. Bring 'em on, Owen said a bit too loudly. Bethany shushed him, despite the fact that no one was home. Owen's mother was still at the library, so they weren't exactly going to be caught doing anything they shouldn't be. Still, Bethany half believed that her mom would pop in and yell, "Aha!" at any moment. The wind is blowing. Something just blew in my mouth. Sorry. Back to the story. Still, Bethany half believed her own mother would pop in and yell, "Aha!" at any moment, so the more quiet they could be, the better she'd feel. There are 5 rules total, she whispered, giving Owen an annoyed look. Rule number 1, make no noise. Either here or in the book, quiet is the key. Got it, Owen mouthed silently. She rolled her eyes. Rule number 2, no talking to characters, no matter what. Talk to a main character, you might show up in the book, and that's the absolute last thing we want to happen. Even if it doesn't change the story, everyone who ever read the book would see our names. That cannot happen. Owen nodded, but his eyes lit up with excitement in a way that fundamentally disturbed Bethany. So she quickly continued. That brings us to rule number 3. We do not change the story. No way, no how. If we touch something, it goes back exactly the way we left it. This is maybe the most important rule, except that all the rules are the most important. Do you understand? Sure, but you've eaten chocolate and you've taken gobstoppers. How did that not change the story? Because they'd never notice a little chocolate missing from a chocolate river, or a gobstopper that I took from the gobstopper machine while the Oompa Loompas were teaching the kids a lesson, Bethany said, feeling a little guilty since she really shouldn't have done either one of those things. But that had been a really bad day. Anyway, these are my rules for you. If you want to come, you follow them. Got it? Got it, Owen said, nodding again. She gave him a suspicious glance, and then she grabbed the book. Okay, are we ready? What about the last 2 rules? Bethany wrinkled her nose. I really only had 3, so the last 2 rules are this. Listen to me at all times and don't do anything stupid. Will that work? I'll do my best on the last one, Owen said, and he laughed. Bethany stared at him without cracking a smile, and he stopped laughing. Now, you've got a chapter where Kyle and his teacher aren't around, right? Bethany asked him. Owen reached over and opened the Kyle Nomenfoot and the end of everything to a marked page. Sorry, my husband just came in and out the door. Yep, the spellbook is just sitting out. Kyle's off beyond the edge of the universe where he just found the 6th key, but he hasn't gotten back to existence yet. The Magister is distracted, casting a spell to locate the 7th key. It's the perfect time to sneak in and learn the location spell. No one will ever know. Bethany glanced at the page. Now, I want to show you something, you guys. This is really cool because if you look at this page, the text, so this is what I just read right here, and that's the book we're reading, and now the text has changed. And the reason that the author did that, they changed the type of text that I'm reading to indicate that I'm going to be reading in a different book. So this is coming from the Kyle Nomenfoot book that I'm going to read, okay? I hope that makes sense. It will once I get going. It wasn't easy sifting through the past, especially for things deliberately mislaid. The Magister carefully wove 1,011 spells together into an elaborate tapestry, threading them in and out of one another. Some showed his life or his children's children's, or the school he once ran, or even old enemies. Other spells went back further to the very beginning. The 7th key hadn't been since the locking of the source inside the vault of containment. This is interesting. The wind has just picked up as I've started reading from this book. I wonder if something ominous is going to happen. I think I'll keep reading. I'll ignore the wind. To find the key meant finding the location of those who had been present, which meant only 2. The original president of Quantirium, Fevora Bunsen, and a figure lost to history, the very first magic user. The spells pushed hard against the curtains of time, straining to part them, but something kept him out, something from the very beginning. He banged his fist down. There was no time left. Dr. Verity had an infinite army from a multitude of alternate dimensions ready to attack Magisteria, and citizens were being rounded up and jailed for even owning spellbooks, let alone using the now illegal magic. And if the hints Kyle had heard were true, the entire planet might be in even more danger than they'd thought. And all the Magister could do was search desperately for the 7th and last key, and do what he could to help the boy who was never meant to be. Suddenly, the 910th spell opened a blazing portal, revealing President Bunsen, only much more elderly, recording her memories into a computer of some sort. The Magister gasped. This was it, the first clue to the location of the 7th key, the most hidden, the one designed to keep any and all from ever opening the vault of containment, hidden beneath Quantirium, and unleashing the greatest power known to all mankind, the source of magic. Kyle would have to know. Over the hills of Magisteria, through the forbidden space separating Quantirium from the magic planet, and into the cities of science traveled a new spell, searching for Kyle. The spell passed beyond Quantirium's atmosphere, back into the nothingness of space, and then beyond even that, to true nothingness. To the end of space itself, to Charm's ship, the scientific method, and then past, to whatever lay beyond everything, and into Kyle's mind. I hope I'm not disturbing you, the Magister said through the magic directly into Kyle's thoughts, but I found a clue to the 7th key's location. You must locate the original computer on Quantirium. The original what? Kyle thought back. Sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble thinking since I'm beyond the edge of existence. I'm not even really sure that I'm existing myself right now. The Magister smiled to himself. You are thinking, therefore you are existing, he said. Do what you need to, but you must find the very first computer ever created. Listen closely, as the information is of utmost importance. Okay, now we're going to switch back. She's done reading that part of the story. Owen reached over and grabbed the book from her hand before she could turn the page. See? It's the perfect time to sneak in. He'll never even know because he's doing all kinds of magic and talking to Kyle. In and out, 5 minutes. Are you ready? Ready, Bethany said, inwardly terrified. Oh, this was such a bad idea. But maybe things would go better than she expected. Maybe it'd even be fun to do a little magic, and they'd laugh and have a good time, and maybe, probably not, but maybe she'd find that Owen really could be trusted, and might even be her friend. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? To have someone to hang out with in books, to talk about things, maybe even help her look for her father? She smiled, strangely optimistic. Could this be the first time in her life where things actually went well? Okay, that's the end of chapter 6, and we're stuck in a cliffhanger again. We don't know. They haven't jumped into the book yet, so we don't know what's going to happen when they jump in, where the Magister is weaving his spell from the spell book, and this evil Dr. Verity is coming to destroy everything. Wow, I can't wait for chapter 7. I hope that you're enjoying this, and I hope chapter 6 give you a good taste of what this book is about. Can you believe we're only in chapter 6, and this is a pretty thick book? There's a lot that's going to happen in this story, and I can't wait to read it with you. All right, until then, go outside, get some sunshine, and keep on reading.